Love at the first sight. The rain fell softly over the city that evening, turning the streets into mirrors of blurred lights and reflections. People hurried past each other, heads down, lost in their own worlds, unaware that sometimes, in the middle of such ordinary moments, something extraordinary could begin. Ethan Carter stood beneath the small shelter of a bus stop, shaking droplets from his coat. His day had been long, his thoughts heavier than the gray sky above him. Work had drained him, life had begun to feel repetitive, and he couldn't remember the last time something truly surprised him. He checked his watch, sighed, and looked out at the road. That was when he saw her. She stood across the street, holding a pale blue umbrella, her long dark hair brushing lightly against her shoulders as the wind teased it. There was nothing loud or dramatic about her presence, yet she seemed to draw the world into stillness. She wasn't trying to be noticed, but Ethan noticed. For a moment, everything else faded. Cars passed, people moved, rain continued, but his eyes remained fixed on her. There was something in the way she looked up at the sky, almost as if she was listening to the rain rather than avoiding it. Something peaceful. Something rare. And then, as if guided by some invisible thread, she looked at him. Their eyes met. It lasted only a few seconds, yet it felt like time stretched endlessly within that glance. Ethan didn't understand why his heart suddenly beat faster, why the dullness of his day disappeared, replaced by a strange warmth. Then the traffic light changed. People began crossing and she stepped forward with the crowd. Ethan felt a sudden urgency rise within him, something he couldn't explain. Without thinking, he crossed too. By the time he reached the other side, she was gone. That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. He replayed the moment again and again, the way she looked, the calmness in her eyes, the silent connection that had passed between them. It didn't make sense. He didn't even know her name. And yet, it felt as though he had lost something important. Love at first sight? He muttered to himself, almost laughing. He had never believed in it. Until now. Days passed. Ethan found himself returning to that same street at the same time every evening. He told himself it was coincidence that he just liked the route. But deep down he knew the truth, he was hoping to see her again. Each day disappointment greeted him instead. Until one evening when the rain returned. He almost didn't go. But something pulled him there. And then she appeared. Standing near the same place, under the same soft rhythm of rain. His breath caught. This time he didn't hesitate. He walked toward her, his heart pounding louder with every step. Words tangled in his mind, but he forced himself forward. "Excuse me," he said, his voice slightly uncertain. She turned. Up close she was even more captivating, not because of flawless beauty but because of something deeper, something genuine. Her eyes held a quiet kindness, a depth that made him feel both nervous and strangely at ease. "Yes," she replied softly. I think I saw you here a few days ago," he said. "At the bus stop." A small smile touched her lips. "You did," she said. "I saw you too." Ethan blinked, surprised. "You did?" She nodded. "You looked like you were thinking about something very serious." He laughed awkwardly. "That sounds like me." A brief silence followed, not uncomfortable but filled with unspoken curiosity. "I'm Ethan," he said finally. "Lena," she replied. The name felt familiar, as if it had always existed somewhere in his thoughts. They began with small conversations. Nothing grand. Nothing dramatic. Just two strangers talking about ordinary things. The weather, work, favorite books, little details about life that slowly revealed who they were. Lena worked at a small art studio nearby. She loved painting quiet scenes, rainy streets, empty parks, soft sunsets. Ethan worked in finance, a world of numbers and logic that felt far removed from Lena's artistic life. And yet, somehow they connected. Each evening became something Ethan looked forward to. The routine that once felt suffocating now held meaning. The city no longer seemed dull, it felt alive, filled with possibilities. One evening as they walked together under a shared umbrella, Ethan asked, "Do you believe in love at first sight?" Lena paused, glancing at him. "I think," she said slowly, "that sometimes you recognize something before you understand it." Ethan frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" "Like meeting someone and feeling like you've known them before," she explained. "Not because you actually have, but because something about them feels right." Ethan felt a quiet realization settle within him. "That's exactly how it felt," he admitted. Lena smiled gently. "Me too." Weeks turned into months. Their bond grew naturally without force. They explored the city together, discovered hidden cafes, shared stories, and slowly opened their hearts. Ethan learned that Lena had moved to the city alone, chasing her dream of becoming an artist. It wasn't easy. There were struggles, doubts, and moments when she felt like giving up. "You ever think about going back?" Ethan asked once. She shook her head. "No. Even when it's hard, I know I'm where I'm supposed to be." Ethan admired that about her, the courage to follow something uncertain. In return, Lena helped Ethan see life differently. She showed him beauty in small things, the way sunlight filtered through leaves, the quiet poetry of everyday moments. "You think too much," she teased him one day. "And you don't think enough," he replied. "Maybe that's why we get along." One evening they found themselves back at the same bus stop where it had all begun. The rain had stopped, but the air still carried its freshness. "It started here," Ethan said. Lena nodded. "Funny, isn't it?" "What is?" "That something so simple can change everything." Ethan looked at her, his heart steady yet full. "I'm glad it did," he said. There was a pause. Then, with a quiet certainty he had never felt before, he spoke. "I think I fell in love with you that day." Lena didn't seem surprised. "I think I did too," she said softly. But love, even when it feels destined, is not without its challenges. A few months later, Lena received an opportunity, a chance to showcase her artwork in another country. It was everything she had worked for. But it meant leaving. Ethan tried to be supportive. "This is amazing, Lena. You have to go." She looked conflicted. "And what about us?" He hesitated. "I don't want to hold you back," he said. "You wouldn't be," she replied. "You're part of my life now." The decision weighed heavily on both of them. In the end, Lena chose to go. Not because she loved Ethan any less, but because she trusted that real love wouldn't disappear with distance. The months apart were not easy. Time zones, busy schedules, and the absence of physical presence tested them. There were moments of doubt, moments of loneliness. But there was also trust. They called, they wrote, they held on to the connection that had begun with a single glance. 1 year later, Lena returned. Ethan waited at the airport, his heart racing in a way that felt both familiar and new. When he saw her walking toward him, everything else faded, just like that first day. She smiled. He smiled. And in that moment he knew something important. Love at first sight wasn't just about the beginning. It was about everything that came after. The choice to stay, to trust, to grow together despite uncertainty. Lena stopped in front of him. "I'm back," she said. Ethan nodded, his voice quiet but certain. "I never stopped loving you." She stepped closer. "Good," she said. "Because I never stopped either." As they walked out of the airport together, hand in hand, the world felt wide open. Not perfect, not predictable, but real. And sometimes, that's where the most beautiful love stories begin, with a single moment, a single glance, and the courage to follow what your heart recognizes before your mind understands.